Good morning, YouTube, and welcome to Sunday's edition of What the Papers Say, entitled What the Papers Didn't Say. Because I don't buy a paper on Sundays, they cost too much and they're full of pish and bollocks. So, what did the papers not say this week? Well, in order of interest, the conventions in America, the Republican and Democrat conventions. What did people not say about that? Well, I guess one of the things they didn't say is you couldn't get a Rizla between the arse cheeks of these wankers. Honestly, anybody who thinks that Donald Trump or Joe Biden represents significant differences in the way your country will be managed, run, or how you will be treated is living in La La Land. Sure, there's a few slight differences in economic policy. Oh, I'm not going to outsource jobs to China. I'm not going to, And Joe Biden's, well, I'm going to social change with investment in infrastructure. Blah-de-blah-de-blah. It's Thursday. Good morning. It wasn't my birthday, by the way. That was somebody else's birthday. That was a paid gig. My birthday is the 1st of January 1992. I'm only joking. That's just what I put on internet forms. I never give the correct information on an internet form. Good morning. Ever, never give, unless it's a bank or somehow relates to my, actual financial identity. I never give the correct information. So the American election, an election to elect two rich, white, old men who will represent the wealthy people, whoever they are. Did you see? I tell you what, Donald Trump's speech and Melania Trump's speech, I had trouble deciding which was the least exciting, which was the dullest, which one would send you to sleep quicker. Melania Trump sounded like she was reading at gunpoint. Donald Trump is a great man. He will do good things for America. I nearly fell asleep between words. Donald Trump's speech, it sounded like he was somehow presenting somebody with like, well, if you want to vote Democrat, but, all of his sentences tailed off. Joe Biden will ruin America. He will ruin America. The Democrats are evil. Okay. It sounded like the guy from South Park who says, Democrats are bad, okay? Bad, okay? Honestly, watching mold grow on old paint would have been more exciting. So the idea that either of these people will do something wonderful for America is, in my opinion, a fantasy. Donald Trump does Donald Trump do drugs? I think Donald Trump is his own drug. I think Donald Trump has a line of Donald Trump in the morning. The Donald! Okay, I got the Donald. Also, at one point, when he was giving a speech, his hair looked like it was about to take off. So, yeah, Donald Trump's speech. The other thing about Donald Trump's speech is they occasionally showed a shot, right, of the front line, the people sitting right in front of Donald Trump. I swear, it looked like an entire football team of Emperor Palpatines. Every one of them looked like an evil old fucking wizard, of whom Donald Trump was the Trump Skywalker. Of their wet dreams. So what was not in the papers? It doesn't matter who you vote in America. If you want my advice, don't vote at all. Black Lives Matter. What wasn't in the papers? Well, it may be on the internet. I've never seen it in a paper. But it's certainly on the internet. George Soros, one of the richest men in the world, has donated $220 million to racial equality and justice causes in America. Now, I'm not going to engage in deep, dark rabbit hole conspiracy theories about that, of which there are a lot on the internet about George Soros's motivations and what his interests really are. But a couple of things. First of all, there are no such thing as races. There's just humans. There are, if you like, different colors of human, but they're all human. It's impossible to be racist. You can be prejudiced, but you can't be racist because there are no races. I can't be racist towards another human being because they're not a separate race. I can be prejudiced. Are there injustices? Yes, there are. And I would venture, by the way, that the lack of equality and lack of justice experienced by people, good morning, Newfie Bullet, is more to do, not exclusively, more to do with your poverty. That is to say that very, very rich people, black, white, or polka dot, suffer less inequality and injustice than you do because you're poor. Which reminds me that the cure for AIDS is money. We've found the cure for AIDS. It's money. Rich people who get AIDS do not suffer or die as much or in such greater numbers as poor people. Poor people just die. Man, if you're in Africa and you get AIDS, you're fucked. Top of the afternoon to you, Sandy McNabb. It is indeed. It's not even morning. So good Sunday afternoon. And so the culture war that is the Black Lives Matter, I think is really about class, to give it another name. And I'm not sure that you'll see many very... Lewis Hamilton, right? And I've said this before. Lewis Hamilton and the football players of the Dallas Cowboys and the basketball players of those rich NBA teams, they ain't on the street, brother. They ain't on the street getting tear gassed or charged by the thin blue line for Black Lives Matter. They're also not shipping their salary to Africa to cure diarrhea for those poor black African people. I view the clamor for justice and equality in America through the same prism I view the Hong Kong protesters. Hong Kong protesters about to be ruled by China. You bet that China's going to wail on their ass. Horrible laws that directly prevent them having freedom, justice, equality, and other rights are being applied to the people of Hong Kong. And they want their rights. To do what? What do they want their rights and freedom for? To max out their credit card and go back to their fucking tower block flats with a view of Kowloon Harbour so they can watch a 50-inch TV screen and do Netflix and chill? Fuck you and your freedoms. This planet doesn't need any more free consumers. I'm so glad I got free as after the mall. We don't need any more rich consumers. In fact, what we need is poor, non-consuming people who are not destroying the planet so fast that we're all going to die as a result. So fuck you and your freedoms, your equality, and your justice. If you care about lives, there are, for $1 you could save one. Does it matter that it's in sub-Saharan Africa and that they're not in Portland? You want to save another life in Portland so they can go to the mall and get some sneakers? Fuck you. Save a life in sub-Saharan Africa so it can just live and stare at the sunrise and the sunset and enjoy that unique human experience of being aware that you're on a rock in space. Don't go saving the fucking... Don't set free the people of Hong Kong so they can, buy another fucking iPhone. Fuck their freedoms. So that wasn't in the news. That wasn't in the newspapers this week. Fuck freedom and justice. That wasn't in the newspapers this week. What else wasn't in the newspapers this week? Oh, well, the coronavirus was. But I tell you what's not been in the newspapers much at all and has completely disappeared with coronavirus. It's provenance, where it came from and what it is. It's no longer in the news. It's like debate about the Wuhan biosecure lab has disappeared. The debate about whether or not it's naturally occurring or man-made has disappeared. What's not in the newspapers about coronavirus is any interest at all in how it got here and who's to blame, or not who's to blame perhaps as who's responsible. Who is responsible? Because if you look, and I have looked, there's no wet market. There is not a wet market in Wuhan that ever had a fucking bat in it. I swear, man, I will give £20 to anybody with actual proof that the people of Wuhan were eating bats. Anyone, anywhere. I will fold you out a crispy 20 and post it off to you. Any proof at all, even tangential proof, anything. There were no markets in Wuhan with bats. And there were no pangolins in Wuhan either. How this story that we're all sucking up while our economies are destroyed and we all get infected with something potentially cooked up in a laboratory to kill us slowly over 10 years. Flu, AIDS, yeah. Here's some things that weren't in the paper, right? The Nobel Prize winning virologist, you'd think he'd know a few things about viruses, a French man called Lagrange. Google it. He won the Nobel Prize for discovering HIV. He has lodged a question with the European Parliament. Google this because the question remains unanswered. He, an eminent scientist in the field of virology and epidemiology and molecular biology, has requested that the European Parliament explain or investigate his claim and his analysis of the virus as having been man-made in a laboratory. He says, and I'm not quoting directly, it has all the hallmarks of having been man-made. They have all the expertise in the lab in Wuhan to do this kind of molecular biology. To me, it seems very obvious that it contains chains of AIDS, and what was the other one? And malaria. So, here's a man, beyond respected in the field of virology, asking the European Parliament, a body currently serving up draconian, tyrannical fucking rule over its people, worse than Mussolini, Hitler and Stalin combined. Stay indoors, stay away from people, cover your face. Lol Factory, hi there. These are beyond come to war with Russia or, fight the fucking Chinese. This is the worst tyranny of yourself that I can imagine. Cover your face. Stay away from your family. Who the fuck are these people? Luc Montagnier. Thank you. I missed out Pol Pot there, yeah. And Mao Zedong. And a host of other tyrants. But instead we've got Ursula von der Leyen, a lovely blonde woman who will tell you in rather nice spoken English why you must obey her exactly. Stand here, breathe in that direction, don't look at me. Fuck them. And it beggars belief that what passes for journalism or the people who ought to be tearing down this story are serving it up in big heaps for you to eat. Really. I'm not saying in absolute terms the virus was made in a laboratory. I am saying there's doubt. I am saying there's grounds for a serious, well-funded investigation into its source, provenance, and that kind of thing. And then, so the infection of people with this virus is going up. And death rates are going down. I don't know where you live, but the number of people dying is going down wherever you are compared to the highs of its first appearance. So maybe they fucked up. What's not in the papers about the coronavirus is maybe the few people who own and control everything of value on planet Earth are sitting in a room going, well, that didn't work. Whose idea was that? And now we're going to have to do COVID-21. It's going to be so much harder to get people to buy COVID-21, isn't it? Yeah, it will be. Or maybe it won't, because they sure rolled over quick for this one. So that's not in the papers. What's not in the papers about coronavirus is there are no bats and pangolins in a wet market in Wuhan. So since that's the story and it's bullshit, what's actually happening to us? What are we actually being infected with? Because when they ease the lockdown, here's something that's not in the papers. Once the lockdown is eased and people are not dying from it, you're going to get it. You are going to get it. Gonna get it, gonna get it, already got your number. And so I am very interested in where this thing I am quite likely to be infected with has come from and how it got here and so on. What else wasn't in the papers this week? Prince Andrew is a whore-fucking liar. Our rulers are lying, murdering scum. And the planet's fucked. It's your fault, and it's getting worse. There was a lot of news about climate change in a kind of way, this week. The melting of Greenland's ice sheets, the extreme temperatures. But those are really not what the news is. Oh yeah, the failing agriculture. The failing agriculture. What wasn't in the news this week is food is going to go on getting scarcer and more expensive. But it's okay, because if you're listening to this, you can probably get some. Honestly, there's a queue of people ahead of you and me to starve to death in the near-term future from the effects of climate change. So don't worry about the polar bear. Fuck the polar bear. Don't worry about sea levels rising. We'll move. I'm not staying on the beach when the water's covering my mouth. How stupid would that be? Yeah, break the supply chains. Your government will make you hungry by ineptness. There need not be an actual famine. Remember, your government could just be rubbish. Your government could rubbish its way to you being hungry. Just like Venezuela, where the government apparently is so bad there's no food in the shops. Your government could be so bad at any number of things that you and your life get fucked up. So, watch out for inept governments. Don't elect them. Don't give them your vote, and stay away from politicians. The UK doesn't have food security. Well, the UK as a whole doesn't have, but the UK used to be self-sufficient, and there, you know, if we lost a couple of million, you could just about feed people from the land in Britain, as long as the climate behaved itself. So, you know, the further north you are, the luckier you are. Canada, you're sitting pretty. Scotland, looking good. Spain, not so much. But, you know, that could take a long time. We might still be here in 10 years talking about depopulation, and there might still be 8 billion people whose lives, by the way, here's what's not in the papers, but it's true. Lifespans, life expectancy on every continent is going up. People are living longer on every continent of Earth. I'm sorry if you thought fluoride was going to do something about that, but it ain't. It's just not poisonous enough. And any other wheeze that people have suggested for depopulation just isn't doing it. Famine's the one, if you check your history books. Famine is the way to get rid of people. Honestly, a week of malnutrition will kill weak people. And there's a lot of them about. So we might still be here in 10 years talking about depopulation and your inept government. Something to look forward to. Until then, have a great decade. I know I'm going to. See you tomorrow morning for what the papers did say.